were concerned about, again, Mark had brought to our attention and provided some information about the Los Altos Pool Room. There are two ventilation vents in there, fans, but they're really inadequate, and particularly for what we have going on in that room. They're huge vats of chlorine, and we need to provide better ventilation.
Whatever it is.
What's that?
What, it's supposed to be two of something and there's only one? I don't know whether it's how it's held together or what, but I thought that's what I saw.
There are two ventilation fans that are there.
Okay.
Now, I've asked Mark whether we need to replace both of them, because what we'd be replacing them with are large commercial
style, right?
Right, that are specially made actually for this type of, where you have swimming pool chemical.
So we resist all that chemical corrosion.
Exactly. As a matter of fact, the company makes plastic motors that are impervious to this, so that you don't have the issue with metal. At any rate,
sorry, Tim. He had one quote. Do we need another quote or something? Or?
Well, we don't have complete.
We're bound to have 3 quotes.
We don't have enough complete information to give you specifics.
Okay.
But we wanted to make sure that we cleared the hurdle that master planning was aware of this issue. So we're not providing you specific details. We're really letting Mark pull that together.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
So that we can make a decision.
Correct.
Faster. Yes. Okay.
Right. And that was our concern, was that that master planning is concerned about these issues and really wants to say,
do it.
Yeah,
Okay.
for more.
Once you get information that you're
And based upon
happy
the
with.
pricing on that fan, we may not need 3 bids.
We may need.
Well, right. Well, you have to say 3, but sometimes companies you can only get 2.
No, there's
Isn't this like a
guideline in the
safety
purchasing
issue too?
Under the
policy.
threshold.
Yeah, if it's
Isn't
under
it
the
like
threshold.
go under like a safety issue too? Like we don't have proper ventilation. That's,
we have to
That's a
do it.
hazard.
It's a high priority. It's a workplace safety issue.
So the fans that Mark has looked at, they were about $4,000 each. The question that I've asked, and that Mark really needs to bring specifics to you, is: do we need 1 or do we need 2?
Okay.
So if it's 1, we're under the 5,000.
Fran, were you going to say something?
Just what Tim mentioned, that they are, 2 of them, and that's just the cost of the fans, because they're exhaust fans, they're non-corrosion, they're commercial grade, they're for that,
And then there's
type of an
installation?
application. So there's still installation, but on top of that, the other thing that Mark has been talking about is that entire building really needs to have somebody take a look at it, because of the drainage, because of the backflow from the pools. That building was actually built as a maintenance shop. It wasn't built to be a pool housing structure. So the walls are starting to settle and crack. So there's the electrical. So it's not just the exhaust. You've got the drainage, the exhaust fans, the electrical, and the settling of the brick and how things are moving. And we really, again, have an engineer take a look at the entire building and look at one big project instead of just 2 fans here, electrical there, drainage there, because the whole thing needs to be torn up, because it wasn't. The drainage was not put in to have thousands of gallons of water go through it when they do the backflow for the pool.
So we did discuss
or backwash.
We did discuss all these issues in master planning.
Okay.
The point is what we can get done that needs to be done that would have an impact currently. The other aspects are really a much larger project that needs to be taken on. And this is something that we can do now that needs to be done no matter what happens in the future. So that was our point. We did also discuss both the state of the building, and we discussed the drainage issue. But the drainage issue is going to require major construction, digging up the floor, repiping. And
Which also may be dovetailed with the electrical issue there, because when we had to do bathrooms in there, we had to upgrade all the electrical for that
Possibly.
section. So it could be
possibly. See, there's a room in between the bathrooms, though, and where
where
the pool room is. So it does need to be looked at. We were focused on what we saw as an immediate, really safety issue, both for vendor and staff that are working in that pool room. Does that make sense?
Yep.
The third item that we had is really kind of a secondary. It's not as high a priority, but it is the footbridge over Lake One. We're at kind of our outside marker of 5 years from the last time we had an inspection done on it by an engineer. And he said, you've got about a 5-year window where you can kind of live with it. And then there's a point that we need to do something with it. The challenge is that on the risers and on the steps, there is some water that's pooling, so we're getting more of a rust issue. And really what needs to happen is we need to put probably grid steps down on the treads instead of solid metal,
Metal.
and look at those issues. But again, that's not something that's falling down, but it's something that we wanted to make sure that you were aware of. Does that help?
Do
Yes.
we have pricing on any of this yet?
The only thing we have pricing on really is Mark
Is
has
fans.
on the ventilation. And we're waiting for a bid from, I think it's Fabricant, he said, who has
On the
helped us
gate valve?
with the gate valve. And I think we need to ride them to get a quote. I'm frustrated that they're so slow in getting back to us with information. And I don't know if we have any other resources or not. We've not researched that on our end because it's someone that we have dealt with in the past or for the other gates.
Do you have any other alternatives, Fran, for maybe getting another quote or getting more pressure on the vendor?
I know Mark's working on it.
Okay.
It's like,
So thank you.
Thank you.
Mark.
Appreciate it. No, I think the pool pump and the ventilation is a high priority because of our employees working in there.
Yeah, and our vendor who's there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very often
Yes.
he said he can't stay in that room.
Yeah.
They have to open the doors up and
Yeah.
just to
I
kind of
can't even
come in
open a
and-
chlorine bucket sometimes without getting, that,
Right.
that,
So my
especially
que-
with this heat.
I will admit, I don't have the budget with me. How much money do we have in the budget for this kind of stuff?
I'd have to look.
Fran, do you have any
Just,
ideas
just,
on it?
it would be under the
the
reserve.
gate
study,
valve
but
is a reserve, and I would think the fan would probably be a reserve item as well. so.
Right. Gate valve is reserve, and generally in the past, it's been 20 to 24. I think on the current reserve study, it says 24,000.
24,000? Yeah, I thought
the gate
that's
valve.
what I remembered.
So
25.
So possibly all three of them are reserve?
Definitely the steps replacements would be the footbridge replacement will be a reserve.
I guess that's possible. The
Yeah.
vent fans are existing. We're replacing them, but they really need to be, upgraded to a much better commercial grade.
Thank you.
You bet.
Just an FYI, there's nothing in the bylaws that talks about a vote requiring. And it also refers things to executive director and or managing agents. So,
Okay. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Wherever you're going, have fun.
Yes.
I hope it's cooler.
Hopefully it's cooler.